What's up, guys? So the last we had heard of Alice, she had gone to Shangri-La to visit Valentina and had an uncomfortable kind of encounter. If you guys haven't watched that video first, make sure you watch that one, or Genesis if you haven't watched any of the SKL story. It's Genesis, A Visit to Shangri-La, and then this is going to be part 3. She goes to Shangri-La to visit Valentina. Valentina agrees to meet up with her, but of course she's working with Dark Alice, so she can't be trusted. Meanwhile, Faria sends message to Persia and Arla to get them to be on their side, and she also has to go try to convince Melgus, and she thinks that it might work this time around because surviving his most deadly attack, she thinks that she has earned his respect. So let's see how things play out. So in the Heavenly Garden of Armala, it's the city where, of course, Arla rules over. This is he's the only Seven Kings that's not on the actual ground. He lives up in the sky, and he's always wanted to kind of look down upon everyone else in a very protective way. He's very humble, very honorable, as Faria has mentioned as well. So he's always wanted what's best for everyone, despite all the Seven Kings never really getting along. He, of course, lives alongside Celestial Wing Seraph, which is totally his bae. I refuse to not believe that they don't have anything going on, because they're just like the perfect couple. Dignified Seraph is, of course, one of the angels that reside in the Heavenly Garden as well. We have Little Angel of Armala, which is really, really cute. She was my the spoiler card, so I've always had kind of a cool relationship with her ever since. The Wingman of Armala, which I think is actually really interesting, because I don't know if a lot of people know this, because I'm like really into like ghost stuff. Like I like reading up on stuff like that, and people always say that there's a difference between like ghosts and spirits, because ghosts just kind of like linger in the world, and spirits are like those that are like attached to people. And so it's interesting that with angels, they've also said that like angels aren't particularly like people that have died and now are angels. Those people, that makes you like a spirit, but angels have kind of always been around. So the Wingman of Armala's flavor text says, the strong sense of responsibility drove this man to wake up even after death. And he's not an angel, he's a wingman. So I find it really interesting that essentially the Wingman of Armala is a previous dead man who kind of arose from death to be kind of like a spirit, and it's in the form of like a semi-angel, because he still has wings and whatnot, but he's not in fact an angel. And I find that really interesting. So like it's just kind of sparks an interest in me, because I like stuff like that. But it's just really interesting to me that he's not an angel, he's a wingman, and he's actually like been dead before, so it implies that he was at one point human. And then Herald of the Winglord. This is a tiny kind of little plot hole. They never show that Alice goes to Armala herself. It's just message from Faria that reaches the city. And the Herald of the Winglord's flavor text says, when the Herald of the Winglord got to Alice, he began to talk to her, choosing his words very carefully. And I think it's a little plot hole that I didn't really think of, because from what we know of anyway, I mean, this might be different, but he doesn't have an interaction with Alice, so it's weird to think that, you know, how would he choose his words wisely if he never gets to see her? Maybe she's going to visit the city sometime between here and the visit to Yggdrasil, where we of course saw in the trailer everything goes sour and everyone turns into a dark kind of ruler. So we don't really know much of what's going to happen in between this point and then just yet, but for right now, this is kind of everything that has to do with the Heavenly City, all the angels and wingmen that reside, and Arla the Winglord, of course, agrees to go to the meeting and agrees to meet up with all the Seven Kings. To the northeast of Armala, we have Cisaid, the Ancient Forest. This is the forest in which Persia lives, and she's kind of a very like cool character actually. I always knew she'd be really cheerful and whatnot because of her art. She's also very young. You can tell she's probably really playful and stuff. But for those who watch Naruto, Fu, which is one of the Jinchuriki, she's the one with the giant insect beast inside of her. I don't remember which tail beast it is, but if you watch the fillers, she's very like carefree and wants to make like 100 friends, and she's just like this really upbeat character, kind of like how Naruto was when he was younger. And Persia kind of really reminds me of that. There's something about her that's this very like naive kind of sense of freedom and, you know, just like peace, and it's just really cute to see. You don't really get to see that, like for her to be like, you know, in charge of an entire forest. you would think, you know, maybe of course she can live peacefully among these animals and stuff. Most people that deal with animals do have this kind of kind nature to them, but it's just really interesting to see that like she's considering, you know, these animals not like her pets or people that, I mean, you know, animals that she has to protect, but they're just like her friends, and she just like hangs out with them because she can. So in her forest, there's Herald of the Beast Lady, of course, Sprinting Wolf, Avank, the little cute rat, and Guardian of the Forest. Why I think this is really interesting is because, as you know, I mean, as you might notice, I don't have the 4 sacred beasts here. The 4 sacred beasts are said to not appear specifically. Like if you read his flavor text, it says, forest dwellers can hardly see sacred beast of Yggdrasil, but when the beast appears to someone, it does as a sign of good luck or of terrible fortune. So it's really interesting to think that the 4 sacred beasts aren't just kind of like up and about. They're just specifically summoned by Persa, which of course makes a lot of sense for her god art. When Persa receives the message from Faria, she kind of asks all of her beast friends, because she can communicate with them. She asks them, you know, what do they think, if she should go to the meeting. She ultimately decides to go to them, but she says that, you know, please make sure that you guys kind of come with me and travel with me, because I don't want to be alone. I like being with my friends. So she decides to also meet up with them at the Tree of Yggdrasil, and she's going to take some of her beast friends with her, which of course, as we know, if she can summon her 4 sacred beasts like at will, it makes sense of how she survives that final attack in the trailer, and we know that Persa is the only one that doesn't convert to the dark side. So it's really interesting to see that that's the way she survived, because she can kind of just like summon them from just her will, and they just come out of nowhere to protect her, opposed to just like they're actual physical beings in this forest that just kind of walk around. So I thought that was really interesting as well. Meanwhile, Faria and Melgus are going to go right at it again. Faria has told Melgus, you know, like, I'll make you a deal. If I beat you, you have to do as I say and attend this meeting. And Melgus is kind of like, well, that's just an opportunity for me to kill you once and for all. So the battle begins, and they start battling it out with their awesome regalias of Excalibur and Leviathan. Faria is able to block every single one of Melgus's attacks. He can't get his damage in, so he gets really frustrated and decides to kind of harness his power to do his god art again. And as he shoots the fireball from his god art to finish Faria, she kind of just holds her sword just directly in front of her, and the fireball gets directly split in half, just doing absolutely nothing to her. And as he's kind of withered and weak from his god art, she starts pounding on him with Excalibur some more, and although he's able to block some of these attacks, his sword just gets launched away and he falls over, and she holds the sword to his neck and just says kind of like, GG bro, you know, like, you totally lost this fight. And he's just kind of like, whatever, do whatever you want, I'll do whatever you want, like, I'm not going to complain anymore. And then she says, okay, so you'll go, and he just stays quiet. And that's kind of her way of knowing that she won this fight, and that, you know, he's going to join them as well. So after Melgus, you know, returns and Faria knows that she won the battle, she goes back to Gloria. And as she's just reciting, okay, well, since she's going back home, we're going to flip her over since she's not in her battle mode anymore. So so she goes back to Gloria, and of course Alice just kind of like fades in out of nowhere because she's cool and she can do like really awesome stuff like that. And so she, you know, Faria's like, so how did your visit with Valentina go? And Alice is kind of like rolling her eyes like, oh, don't act like you don't know she's crazy, because, you know, we all know she's crazy. And Faria kind of just gets a laugh out of it, and Alice is just kind of having a good time. And she says, you know, okay, so we have Melgus, Faria's of course in on it as well, Arla, Persa, so that's 4, and Valentina, so the only 2 left are Machina and Rezard, which is Valentina's job to go convince them. I'm really eager to see what this interaction is going to be, because I don't know if she's going to straight up just like glut near both of them and be like, yeah, they totally agreed, and like, you know, she's just like super evil, and everyone's like, oh cool, she must have talked to them, and they're like dead in some like mesmerized like alley, and they just don't know what's going on. So I really want to see the interaction between Valentina and Rezard specifically. I don't know how that's gonna go, because like he's like even crazier than she is. So I can't wait to see what happens in the next story. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel where you can see more videos coming next week. And if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure to leave it in the comment section below, and I will definitely catch you guys next time.